Okay, here. I have the sync video. I can watch this and do messages.
I thought I'd do a cute little experiment, and I thought I'd find out some cute little things, but instead I've learned something that entirely changed how I see the social internet, and why I think I know for sure now that Twitter sucks and is going to die. My little experiment was simply to tweet the same things on Twitter, Threads, and Blue Sky, and see where the things did best. And that wasn't that interesting. Like, here's one that got 10,000 likes on Twitter and 7,000 likes on Threads and 45,000 likes on Blue Sky.
Wow, Ryan, thanks for, or Ram, sorry, thanks for another gifted YouTube sub.
And then this one got 11,000 on Twitter and 1,400 on Threads and 4.6 thousand on Blue Sky. And so like it's like all mixed up and it's not that interesting. So all you can really tell from all of this is that like when I tweet stuff that's gonna do pretty well, it's gonna do different amounts of well on different sites. And they're all like vibrant, active places where people are engaging and there's conversation. And so like it feels kind of like worth being on all of them at this point, which is a little bit terrible. Like I hate that because the last thing I need is to be like, well,
Great Hanks cam setup. You know what's really weird is that I feel like I would actually be scared if I was Hassan. This Gremlo dude, he tries so hard to copy. I think he's got like the angle, like the walls in the background to copy like Hassan's like exact fucking setup. Holy shit. This is like a, oh, he's got like the same like stream layout, I think. He bought the same chain. Is that true? Oh my god. Oh, wait, hold on. It's a cute doggy.
I finished with Blue Sky. I guess I'll go check out what's happening on Threads. But that's the situation we're currently in. It's fragmented into 3 solidly successful camps. But then I posted a link to my video that I made last week that I really wanted people to watch. Like, I worked hard on this video. I've been writing it for weeks. I finally put it out. I mean, I kind of been writing it for years, but like actively writing it for over a month. And then we got 1,000 likes on Twitter, we got 500 on Threads, and we got 3,800 on Blue Sky. And that's a really big deal for me because, and also 300 quote tweets, which is wild. That means more people are giving it more action. And so it's like a really vibrant place. But part of me is like, well, I have heard that like links are downranked on Threads and Twitter because they end sessions. People stop using the platforms when you click on a link. You're not on Twitter anymore, and so they can't advertise to you anymore. And now that's bad for them. But also, I had noticed this. I tweeted that I was going to be headlining a night of comedy that's a fundraiser for an organization in my town. And on Twitter, that got 137 likes. And on Threads, it got 64. And you've seen me just now getting thousands and tens of thousands of likes on Threads. So like, this is weird. And then on Blue Sky, 718. Now I know that this is gonna be smaller than normal content. Like, of course, it's just for people that can drive to Missoula, Montana. There's a very small audience. But of course, this is being algorithmically downranked. Why wouldn't it be algorithmically downranked? Because very few people are gonna be like, need to see this tweet. And so the algorithms are saying, oh, people aren't engaging with this, let's not show it to them. But that's a huge problem for me, because if I am building up my audience over and over and over again, but that's a huge problem for people who actually create content. And this is why I think a lot of people just don't, like a lot of creators don't post that much anymore. If you are posting like crazy, providing all of this value to these platforms, and then in the moment you actually want to convert that into some, like people going to a comedy show to raise money for the homeless shelter in your town, then they're not going to show it to anybody because the algorithms are so powerful. And
I got on Blue Sky last week. It's kind of uncanny how similar it looks and works compared to Twitter. Can't they get in trouble for this? I think there are multiple people that have done this. Threads is like basically a copy paste of Twitter as well. I mean, it is what it is. I don't know how much you can patent or trademark in terms of like user design or user interface.
Town, then they're not going to show it to anybody because the algorithms are so powerful. And Blue Sky is actually like saying, look, maybe it's okay for the algorithm to be a little less powerful. And in exchange for that, like, stuff's going to have more reach, even if it might not be quite as relevant. Now, I get that this is a balance. This is one way or the other. But then something else happened that really changed the way I saw all of this. And for that, we need to go back to Twitter. I posted this. Spending a month on Blue Sky has made me recognize a fight we need to be having right now. Not liberal versus conservative or whatever, but respect versus manipulation. For all the good and bad of Twitter, I can't help but see many of the ways it is constantly trying to manipulate me. And then this person asked, can you give an example? And so I did want to talk a little bit about this. So I took that as an opportunity to say, if you watch one video, it like puts you into, like it auto plays another unrelated video on the app. It like puts you into X's version of TikTok. And that is not what I asked for. That's not why I watched that video. It is trying to control me. Twitter and Threads both.
Didn't Jack Dorsey help make Blue Sky, so Twitter 2.0? I think he did, right? Yeah, I think he was the founder, or one of the founders of it.
That is not what I asked for. That's not why I watched that video. It is trying to control me. Twitter and Threads both downrank links, which we've just talked about and seen.
Wait, Threads does it as well?
Trying to control me. Twitter and Threads both down.
Oh, I didn't even hear earlier that you did Threads as well. Damn, okay.
Rank links, which we've just talked about and seen, and we'll see again in a moment. And also, my For You feed is filled with engagement bait. And Threads is even worse at Twitter than Twitter at this. And so this got 645 likes. And in the first hour or like 30 minutes, honestly, I was like, this seems like it's not getting any love. Like, it just does not seem like it's doing well. So I posted it again, maybe a half an hour later, and I changed it. And this got 8,000 likes. And it said, instead of Blue Sky, it said Twitter like places that aren't X. And instead of saying Twitter, it said X, because I ran out of characters. I would have left that as Twitter, but I ran out of characters. Now, this isn't like perfect science or anything, but this got 8,000 likes versus 600. And I know maybe people were making different decisions, but it feels like an algorithm was making a different decision here. And this person replied, he said, is the manipulation in the room with us? And I said, it is. And this was back when it had first been posted, just a few, I guess it was like 15 minutes between these two tweets. This one was 289 and this one was 589 just in that time. And this one was posted later. So yeah, the manipulation appears to be in the room with us. In a similar situation, I just tweeted this morning this like stupid meme that I made, and I linked to Good Store, and I said, good.store, this Thanksgiving, remember 25% of everything at good.store with the coupon code SAVE25. Speaking of which, this video is brought to you by good.store. We'll get to the rest of it in a moment. Good.store is a place on the internet where you can go and buy really quality, awesome stuff. You can do all of your Christmas shopping in this one place. We got tea, we got coffee, we got socks, we got so much cool stuff. And you can do a bunch of your Christmas shopping all at once. But right now, and only through the end of the weekend and through Cyber Monday, 25% off everything in the store. This is our biggest sale of the year. I promise it actually is. I know it sounds, when these words come out of my mouth, it always feels gross because I hear it all the time, but this is like objectively the biggest discount that we have. We still have a $59 limit before you get to free shipping. So at $60, you get free shipping and you get 25% off of everything at the store, including an already deeply discounted item. So if you go to search and you type in 12, you may have.
Have you considered posting for Blue Sky more often than X to encourage your community to look over there more? I don't think I've been posting much on anything recently. Right now, I've got like a room full of all the people that clip like the short form content. I think I'm trying to figure out if I want to be like tweeting these directly, or if it's better to have other accounts that I like retweet or re-blue. What do you call it when you post on Blue Sky? Is there a name for that?
I've seen this video I posted on HanksChannel. You can find our Mystery Sock 12 pack, which was originally $180 and then was $60, but with this $25 off, that's $45. And this is
a skeet. Okay.
Going to be 12 pairs of socks that you could give away to 12 friends and be like, I got you these. And also they donate all of their profit to charity to help reduce maternal and child mortality in West Africa, and also to fight against tuberculosis, which is the most deadly infectious disease in the world. And can you believe that tuberculosis is the most deadly infectious disease in the world? The world will be better and you'll have done a lot of your Christmas shopping, and our customer support and warehouse team will have time to get the products to you by Christmas if you are buying stuff for Christmas. And the coupon code is SAVE25 and it is only valid until the end of Monday. But then there will be other discounts. If you're watching this after that, I promise you could still go to good.store. You just won't get that big of a discount. All right, back to the point I was making. So I tweeted this good.store.
$180 sock. Wait, was that really how much they cost? Wait, I wasn't watching the cost of things. There's no shot. Did he say that?
So this Thanksgiving, remember 25% off everything at good.store with the coupon code SAVE25, but forget the giving money to Jeff Bezos. And I put a link to good.store. And on Threads, these two tweets did roughly the same with and without
not
the
one
link.
pair. Oh, okay.
On Twitter, which I'm actually surprised by. And like maybe some people had already seen that, so this one just did less well. It got less engagement. And then but on Twitter, 114 versus 230 likes, 16,000 impressions versus 13,000 impressions. So it just seems like obvious that links are being downranked. And when I posted this on Blue Sky, I did not need to post it again because it got 1,000 likes immediately with the link. And so I don't have to worry about that. Here's my concern here about Twitter and Threads. I come on for 3 reasons. 1, I go on to satisfy some deep-seated desire to get attention and be liked and to see numbers go up. 2, to ideally engage in some kind of useful conversation that will help put correct ideas in people's heads and drive us forward as a species. I know. That's not a good reason, but that is what I think I'm doing. The 3, because I want to build up, like, I make a bunch of jokes, in part because I want people to be like, haha, good joke, I laughed, and that feels good. But in part because I'm trying to build something up so that I can then take people and show them the sale at good.stores so that I can have an e-commerce company that tries to be different and that isn't reliant on like paid marketing, which would make it even harder and we'd have less profit to donate to charity. I want the platform to show people when I link to my YouTube videos so people will go watch my YouTube videos, which are more important than my tweets. And if you're not doing that, why am I doing this? Why am I providing you all of this free labor so that you can just try and keep, use my content to manipulate people into never leaving your platform and then never give me any value out of it? Never let me turn that into somebody who might go watch a YouTube video, might go watch SciShow, might go buy a Complexity calendar, might buy a Crash Course coin. Why am I doing any of this if you're always downranking all of that stuff? So what you're left with is professional posters who are only there to engage in like these big conversations or to get attention that makes them feel good. And so,
that's kind of true, actually. That is really toxic now that I think about it. If you're tweeting and you're ever linking externally, your tweets are getting downranked because Twitter just wants to keep you on the platform. And Twitter, I wonder if you'll bring this up, Twitter even incentivizes it more because they pay you for tweets. So the goal is to just like tweet and to post tweets and to keep people on Twitter posting tweets and to only show people tweets on Twitter about Twitter and not about anything else ever. It's kind of like toxic, yeah.
And people who I think legitimately are trying to engage in a conversation, but like it's going to be all high-minded in trying to like achieve goals with every piece of content rather than like what I did on Blue Sky yesterday after I had a half a glass of wine. Roman numerals. That's all I want. Sometimes I just want to say Roman numerals. I just feel so manipulated all of the time when I'm on these platforms. And part of that manipulation,
it's probably not healthy for the platform long term. Maybe. I think that the issue is there's everybody everywhere just wants infinite growth. Like nobody can be happy being like, oh, this is I guess to go back to my old internet comparisons, right? Like if somebody would have a board and it had like 1,000 users typing about cats and it was called like the cat board, like it would be like, oh shit, like this is awesome that we have a board where we can talk about cats, and maybe we get like thousands of more users and everybody's talking about cats. Like, oh cool, and like that would be it. This is cool. This is the best cat board on the internet. But nowadays that wouldn't be the thought. The thought would be like, hold on, we've got 3,000 people here talking about cats. I bet some of these motherfuckers talk about dogs too. So let's make a dog subforum. And then once you do that, I bet, you know what? I bet a lot of these people that talk about dogs and go to parks, they probably have cars. So let's make a car. And now you have to keep expanding over and over and over and over again. And yeah, it's never enough to just be good at the thing. You have to do everything. Like that's why like Twitter hosts video now, right? You don't need to upload to YouTube and link it. You can just host the video right on X, and you can host all of it right on X, and you can do payment processing, and you can send grandma flowers, and this will be your new government. And it's like, bro, why can't we just have like a company that does a thing and it doesn't have to horizontally expand? It doesn't have to vertically expand. Like just do the thing and do it well. Like it seems like nobody can do that anymore.
Is taking power away from the people who create all of the value, because if you let me link to my store for free, why am I going to buy the advertisement if you give it away for free? So even though
I think users prefer all-in-one. I mean, you know, I used to say this, that like, well, you know, there is a lot of convenience, which is kind of true, but I don't actually think that's true. I think it's just technology has evolved. Like you really can do probably anything you would need. It's a little bit more work, but with like APIs, you can do what you need to integrate different platforms. It doesn't have to be all in one, right? Like I might think that it's kind of nice that if I watch a video on YouTube and save it, that like I can access that for my email or something. Like I don't even know if you can do that, but like, because Google owns both companies. But it wouldn't be impossible for YouTube to just have an API to pull like, you know, what are videos that you watched and to make that like accessible to at least other companies, right? So I don't even know if that integration is needed for all the services that we get from highly integrated companies when you probably, there's other ways you could do it technologically now, but yeah, I don't know.
I built this audience. I don't control what pieces of my content go out to them. This is tale as old as time, and as far as the enshittification cycle goes. But I feel like I got frog boiled. I did not realize the extent to which links were downranked. And also, it's wild to me that the word blue sky is downranked. There's no motivation for that aside from trying to make people forget that there's an alternative to what you're selling, which is an inferior product, because you are trying to figure out how to turn this thing into money, which I get is hard. You've been bad at it in the past. But I think that the advertising model is the wrong one for microblogging.
All major companies are getting a lot more strict about APIs now. Would just make them accessible to large companies only. You can have like procedures to authorize API access just to large, like if you wanted to, you can do that. You don't have to lock it down from everybody.
Because it's societally destructive and it makes the experience worse for me. And I think, I really do think that this is a big problem for both Threads and Twitter. And it's a huge advantage for Blue Sky. I am so much more likely to use Blue Sky when I see, we did a test where we had a special coupon code where we did a Twitter coupon code and a Threads coupon code and a Blue Sky coupon code. And the Blue Sky coupon code was 10 times more powerful than Threads and 3 times more powerful than Twitter. That's like raw numbers, not like per person who clicked or per follower. That's wrong.
API just lets people access your content without seeing your ads? Well, it depends on what you make accessible via an API. What do you mean?
Numbers. That's the total number of sales that we had. So I am much more compelled to use Blue Sky. And this is
Reddit completely killed all third-party apps like Apollo by charging for use of their API. Okay, that's because Apollo was probably legitimately a bullshit program that was not fair to Reddit. That's a lot different. I'm okay with programs like that not being able to exist, but I mean, obviously some kind of access and communication is fine from platform to platform.
This is not just my data. There's lots of platforms and publications are like, oh, I got to get on Blue Sky because they actually, people click on stuff and they leave the site. They leave and they read articles. And that's what we should be doing. Please tell me about the news so I can click and read it on the news site rather than your analysis of what the news was, which is all you get on Twitter anymore. You gotta go on Blue Sky. You'll see links to articles and then you'll click on them. Blue Sky has this thing where you could create custom feeds, and there's a custom feed called gift articles that's just gift articles. I know this probably isn't gonna last forever because that might devalue the use of gift articles, but it means that you don't have to worry about whether you're subscribed to The Economist.
What do you mean it was unfair to Reddit? So I believe that Apollo used, I don't know if it was a combination of Reddit APIs and scraping or what, but basically what Apollo did was it found a way to get all of the information from browsing Reddit into its own program where it created a user interface that allowed you to essentially browse Reddit using a totally different program with none of their ads. So it's basically reserving you. I shouldn't even say reserving because it was still routing all the content from Reddit. So it was still costing Reddit servers money and everything. It was just basically Reddit with a totally different user interface built that was having Reddit still serve you content and everything with no ads. So it's yeah.
To actually read the article or the Financial Times or Business Insider. I'm not going to subscribe to Business Insider. I don't have a $2,000 a month subscription budget. That's ridiculous. A mess out here, y'all. Which is why I'm going to go play Connections. I've heard today's is really hard. But before we do...
They serve their own ads? If that's true, that's even worse. They might have. I don't remember, but yeah, Jesus.
Connections, remember, good.store, save 25 for 25% off anything at good.store. Get all your Christmas shopping done and all the profit gets donated to charity. It's a good deal for everybody. Check it out. I bet you're going to find something you like. And also that deal is a good deal. I promise. It's as good as a deal as we can do. All right. National Boardwalk, Mole, Twin, Hertz, Silicon, Project, Tiger.
Whoa. No spoilerino. Although I think that might have been yesterday's. Oh, no, wait. That's the one we did, wasn't it?
That deal is expect Tiger. Volt is a car. Boardwalk.
Oh, we did do this one.
Game Ray Second Venture. There was a bunch of red herrings there that have not done me well. Hertz and Volt are both, units of electricity, like electricity-related units. Hertz, Volt, Second is also a unit of something. Mole is also a unit. And then we've got, I guess I'm going to try to get the purple, even though I'm very confused. We've got Endeavor, Enterprise, Venture, Project. Okay, that seems like one. It's just like a thing that you do. That's the category of things you do. And then we got, what else do we got? Tiger. Boardwalk is a monopoly, but none of these things are. Boardwalk, National. I'm going to have to make sure that I have this right.
I think the LLM era has only accelerated the trend towards API lockdown. Companies want to make it as challenging as possible to scrape their shit for APIs. I mean, but you can still, if you're scraping, you're not using API, right? But I mean, you can still scrape if you want. I mean, like, what is it? I don't know. That just seems weird. So we're going to cut off all database access to legitimate customers because LLMs, I mean, they can still scrape or do whatever anyway, right? I don't know. It seems dumb to me.
I'm going to have to guess, because if this isn't right, then I'm going to be going down the wrong path forever. Hertz, Mole, Volt, Second. Yes! Okay, they are units. All right. That was the green? Okay. Well, I guess I know what the yellow is. Twin. Curb.
Reddit didn't have any problem with all of these apps when they helped Reddit grow by providing a better user experience for free, but now that they are huge monopolies, they shut them down. Okay.
Is a verb as well as not a verb. Oh, first words of sitcoms. Curb Your Enthusiasm, Silicon Valley, Game Changer, National, seems like it could be National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. No, that is not a sitcom. No, that felt good to me for a second. Twin Peaks is a show. That's fucked if that's the category. Tiger King. No way is it just fucking TV shows. Oh.
Bro, Game of Thrones was deleted so much from our brains because of how fucking horrible that show ended. I cannot believe there will never be anything in society like this. It will never happen. It will never happen again.
It's not. God damn it. It wasn't even one away. Okay. That was down the wrong path there. Am I, though? I mean, now I see it. Now I'm seeing TV shows everywhere because Boardwalk Empire, Game of Thrones, Ray, and Silicon. Are these all HBO shows? Curb, Boardwalk Empire, Game of Thrones, and Silicon, and that's why I got it confused because Tiger King and Twin Peaks are not
Oh wait, he did get Game of Thrones.
HBO show. Empire, Game of Thrones, and Silicon. Silicon. Are these all HBO shows? Curb, Boardwalk Empire, Game of Thrones, and Silicon, and that's why I got it confused because Tiger King and Twin Peaks are not HBO shows. That's ludicrous. If that's the thing that you expect me to know, like network, the show is on. What would that leave us with? Twin, Ray, Tiger, National. Those are Major League Baseball teams without an S on the end. But this has to be the purple, though, because that's fucked. If you think that that's the... Okay. Well, at least there's that. Twin, Ray, Tiger, National. Okay, all right. Oh, my God. First words of HBO shows? Was that at least a 5 out of 5? Yes. Okay. Good. Only 20% got no mistakes. Okay, only 55% solved it. All right, well, I got 1 in 1 million, everybody. This is an unusual score. Oh, man. Hertz, Mole, Volt, Ray, just like science-y words. National, Hertz, Enterprise, Venture. That does sound like rental car companies. Chemistry and physics. Yeah, well, okay. It's all, you always got to play connections at the end to chill your nervous system out.
Did we ever get a cohesive reason why Game of Thrones ended so poorly? I have no idea. Maybe it was just too many storylines that they tried to draw together to a close, and it's just impossible to do it in a way that feels satisfying. I don't know. I really don't know, because I feel like you could have written a better ending, even if it wasn't I don't know. Jesus, don't get me down this path.
A little bit. Again, 25% off everything. It's good.store. It's a good store. The products are good, and it does good. And you could do all your Christmas shopping there and tell people about it, and it'll be cool. All right. Frickin' Twitter. Let me tell you.
Let me tell you. You're probably wrong about rainbows. Damn, fuck you, bro. Okay, hold on. I got all my messages done, and I have, like 24 emails. Let me use the restroom real quick. Hold on. True. True. Wait, I saw somebody leave a comment about... Somebody said Game of Thrones was trying to say something profound about feminism or religion at the end. I feel like... it's funny because I feel like Game of Thrones went from like 80s, 90s feminism to like 2020s wokeism in like the course of like 4 seasons where you had... like in the first like several seasons of Game of Thrones, there were like some female characters that they were strong, they did whatever. You had male characters that interacted with them, right? It was just like they just were. And then in the last like 2 seasons, there were so many like girl power moments. And it was like, why? Why would you do this? With between like Daenerys and Theon's sister Yara or whatever, Yara, I think. There were so many moments like, oh yeah, girl power, the sand snakes and everything. It was like, ugh, why? The bad pussy. Oh God. What a legendary, horrible.
Don't wait too long. Got a noble woman to marry back home.
You want a good girl, but you need a bad pussy.
God. Remember her father's post? Oh, maybe. It's about watching that scene like a long time ago or something.
I'm escaping to the one place that hasn't been corrupted by capitalism. Space!
Well, after all this time, it's finally here. The Factorio expansion.
Someday we'll play this. Oh, somebody linked his iced coffee podcast show.
I was on the most wanted list for the FBI.
4.5 hours, dog. People keep saying as soon as Game of Thrones caught up with the books, the show went to the shitter. You keep saying that, but you don't know how the books are going to end, okay? So it's not, you're comparing them. You're comparing the last few seasons of Game of Thrones to a hypothetical, perfect last few books that might never even be written, right? They might never even come into existence, so... Destiny, I used to avoid Walmart, but I found a time in my mid-20s living alone where I needed groceries, a haircut, an oil change, and to stop by the pharmacy, and I was super grateful. I only had to drive one place. Not that this translates one-to-one with social media, but I can get it. Yeah, the Walmartification of the internet is a way to look at it. I mean, like, I think there has to be a way where we can find a balance between things. Like, Walmart is super convenient and can be helpful, especially if you're, financially constrained. But there's also something lost when everything becomes like mega super conglomerated into one giant company. And yeah, I mean, there's pros and cons to both sides. Obviously, you just can't wander too far into a certain, like too far to one side. Or am I making this up? I feel like I heard this in a song we looked at someone's stream. There used to be these things called company towns, right? Where there'd be like a mining operation or there'd be something that was opening up and like a whole city would basically be built by the company in order to have people live there and do... We need to do that, but for streamers. Hell yeah. Did you ever watch Dexter? I'm on season 4 and it's so good, but all I see on the internet is it ended horribly. Dexter ended pretty bad. Dexter is pretty good. I mean, that's true. However, Dexter was never as good as Game of Thrones, and it never gets as bad as Game of Thrones was bad. This is why you can't convert recipes. Okay, hold on. I should be able to get my...
Here's a recipe
my emails done on this video.
expressed in United States customary units of measurement. I think it's very possible for that to be a good recipe and yet become a bad recipe when it's expressed in metric units. And vice versa. A term of measurement. I think it's...
Wait, hold on. I want to watch this. Wait, sorry.
Here's a recipe expressed in United States customary units of measurement. I think it's very possible for that to be a good recipe and yet become a bad recipe when it's expressed in metric units.
Oh, okay. Wait. The ending wasn't terrible, it was meh. That's true too. The difference is the ending of Dexter didn't destroy all the beginning of Dexter because I don't think there was like a coherent, consistent plot line throughout all of Dexter. You had like arcs and seasons. Whereas for Game of Thrones, you're from the very beginning of the show, you're looking for certain arcs to come to fruition. And when they don't, it's a lot more depressing. So yeah, the ending of Dexter was like bad. It was bad, but it wasn't like show destroying.
And vice versa. A total banger recipe written in grams and mils can become rubbish when it's written in pounds and cups. And by banger, I mean good, not sausage. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Here's a recipe by Chef Peroxide McCraggyface for a shepherd's pie. Love a shepherd's pie. What's he call for here? 500 grams of minced lamb. The Brit...
Did you watch Burn Notice? I did. I actually like that. I thought that was like a cute turn your brain off show. I thought it was cute.
Let's call it minced, even though it's actually been ground.
I think I like, I don't know if there's a name for this genre of show. Would you call them like MacGyver shows? I think those are cute. Yeah.
Here, 500 grams of minced lamb. The Brits call it minced even though it's actually been ground. Luckily, I know that. What I don't know is how much 500 grams is in ounces and pounds. You know, the system of weights that we here in the United States inherited from the Brits, like some kind of hand-me-down sweater with a hole in it before they went off and got a fancy new continental sweater. Let's figure this out. Google is a free website. 500 grams is 1.1 pounds. If I go to the meat counter at my grocery store and ask the guy there for 1.1 pounds of ground lamb, I suspect I might get 1 pound of ground lamb and 1/10 of a pound of loogie. Ground meat is generally sold in round numbers, so what am I going to do? I'm going to buy 1 pound of ground lamb, and my pie is going to be 1/11 less meaty than Gordon's. Maybe that's not a big deal, but let's keep reading. What else we need? 300...
Oh, I don't know where he's going to go by the end of this, but if he's talking about like the imperfections for all this, this is one of the reasons why... This is why one of the reasons why people talk about like, why don't we just switch from imperial units to metric units? And it's like so much of our society is built around standardized imperial measurements. Like I think aren't transitions to doors are like I think 3 feet, or like you have like standard like rooms might be like 10 by 12 or 8-foot ceilings or whatever, and every single thing would become like, oh well, now this is a you know like a 1.12 meter entryway, and this room is actually 3.64 meters by 2.8, and it's just like, oh fuck me, it's like such a nightmare when you have when everything is already standardized around imperial shit. You have to like destroy everything and rebuild. Like I think in Canada, I think they use a combination because a lot of their construction stuff is still done in imperial, and I think they use imperial for like buildings and shit, but then they'll use metric for other things, and it's just like it's a nightmare. Okay.
Milliliters of chicken stock. That's a great quantity for Gordon because that's how big the stock container is at the Tesco near Gordon's house in London. He just pours the whole lot in and then tosses the container in the trash. I'm sorry, I mean the bin. Chicken stock in my grocery store is pretty much only sold in 2-pound cartons. That's 946 mils. So what am I gonna do? Especially if I'm the kind of relatively inexperienced cook who would be following a Gordon Ramsay recipe to the letter anyway, I'm gonna buy the bigger container, pour in exactly how much Gordon tells me to pour core in, and then I'm going to stick the rest of this into the refrigerator so that I can throw it away in 3 to 5 weeks. When we write recipes, we tend to build them around those ingredients that come in relatively fixed quantities. Some ingredients come in relatively fluid quantities, like say water. I'd say that counts as a fluid. I can write a recipe that calls for this much water or this much water. It's all the same to you, because you can pour off however much you need. But if I'm going to write, say, a dried pasta recipe, there's a relatively fixed quantity involved, i.e. the box. Sure, I could call for this much pasta or this much pasta, but nobody wants a box of pasta hanging around the pantry with not enough noodles in it to do anything with, but at the same time too many to just throw away without feeling guilty about it. A recipe that leaves you with this at the end of the night is a bad recipe. I don't care how good it tastes. It is inconsiderate of the realities of being a home cook. So I'm not going to write a recipe like that. I'm going to treat the box as a relatively fixed quantity and then let all of the other more fluid quantities flow proportionally from there. Like, here's my macaroni and cheese recipe. Oh, sorry, Brits, macaroni cheese. It starts with 1 pound of dried pasta shells. Yes, I know that technically makes it shells and cheese, but I can't fight that battle right now. Plus, Brits, what do you want me to call it? Shells cheese? Anyway, dried pasta comes in 1 pound boxes in the United States, so all the other quantities in my recipe flow from that starting point. Now, if I want to translate that recipe into metric, as so many of my viewers have earnestly requested that I do, I'm gonna have a problem, because 1 pound is 453 grams. The Tesco near Gordon's house doesn't sell a 453 gram box, it sells a 500 gram box. And that's not a trivial difference. That's like 10% more pasta. So do I give the metric quantity as 500 grams or 453 grams? If I round it up to 500, do I just hope that all of the other quantities in the recipe will also kind of turn out to be a little bit bigger when converted to metric? Let's see if that works. I call for 3 cups milk. 3 cups is 709 mils. I'm tempted to round that down to 700, but now I've got slightly more pasta and slightly less milk, and see, this is not going to work. My point here is that a system of weights and measures is like a language. It arguably is a language. And sure, you can translate something from one...
You wanna know my hot cooking take? I don't know if this is true, but I would just assume it is. What are the chances that the optimal ratio of ingredients would actually round out to exactly 700 milliliters, 250 milliliters, 15... You know what? There's probably like a 10 to 20% wiggle room in every single measurement given for some dish. That like if you made this with 10% more butter or 15% less or whatever, it probably is going to be about the same. That'd be my guess. Probably about the same.
Language to another, but a poem written in English is never going to be as good once it's translated into, say, French. I mean, I can easily translate the ideas, but the meter, the rhyme, assonance, alliteration, all that stuff is going to be lost. And Lord help me if I've used an idiomatic expression in my poem. I mean, imagine I wrote a poem about the rain in which there's a cat and there's a dog, because I'm doing a play on the English idiom, it's raining cats and dogs. That joke is not going to land in France, because in France, when it's raining a lot, they don't say that it's raining cats and dogs. They literally say that it's raining ropes. That's actually like a classic example of this problem I'm talking about.
I've never actually looked this up before, but this is one of the things I was curious about for the Pokemon anime. James and Jesse used so many English turns of phrase or expressions or like things that would only work in English. What was it actually in Japanese? Like, what were they actually saying? Idioms? Yeah. Puns? Yeah.
They literally say that it's raining ropes. That's actually like a classic example of this problem I'm talking about. I didn't make that up. I'm not that cool. But anyway, yes, of course, you can do excellent translations of poetry, but there's a reason that excellent translations of poetry are normally written by other poets. Because in order to make a poem work in another language, you basically have to re-author it in that language. You can't just run it through Google Translate. So if I were to...
There's a very interesting article. I don't know if we read this on stream or not. I don't think we did. Something that's being talked about here when he's talking about poetry and shit. Sorry, I'm doing emails at the same time. So if I miss this, then tell me to shut the fuck up. Is you're not usually looking for somebody to just do translation on a thing. Translation is just like, what would a dictionary say is one-to-one? What you're usually looking for is something a little bit more sophisticated called localization, right? I don't want to just translate the words directly. I want to have them, I want to have the meaning I want to have that make sense when it's localized to whatever language you're translating it to, so that like it carries the same it carries all the same like meaning and content, not just the words. There's a super fascinating article by the guy who worked on the localization for Metal Gear Solid 1, and he talked about how I think he ended up inventing terms that like are now, or at least for a while they were used across a lot of games, like OSP, on-site procurement, and a lot of like fake like military acronyms and shit. But he went through was it this Polygon article? Oh, it is. It was this one. I don't know if you're ever bored, you can read this. Yeah. But it was just very interesting talking about this guy took a lot of creative liberties when he was doing the localization for Metal Gear Solid 1. Yeah. It was just cute. Yeah. Kojima apparently was super ass-pained over the liberties that this guy took when writing the script for it. But translation is not a science, it is an art. One must take liberties with a text to capture the essence of the words in an attempt to recreate the feeling of the original for a very different audience with a very different cultural background. When I read that Snake's earpiece was just called wireless, I tried to come up with something better for American players. I researched the problem for a significant amount of time before coming across something called a codec that I thought sounded cool. I'd never heard the term before, but it sounded pretty official. When Campbell told Snake that he would have to do acquire locally for his weapons, I knew I needed something that sounded like military jargon. The only problem is that no one in real life would ever put themselves in that situation if they could help it, so I coined the term OSP, or on-site procurement, which is still used to this day in video games. Oh, and maybe in TV shows as well. In addition to jargon, I use this opportunity to flesh out characters every chance I had. Too often in translation, the meaning is kept, but all feeling is lost. It must be added back in by the translator. So I gave Snake amusing quips that were not in the original text. One example would be when Campbell said, "I'm not a colonel anymore." In Japanese, I changed it to, "I'm not a colonel anymore, just a retired old warhorse." Why did I add that last bit when it wasn't in the original? All I can say is that it felt right. It added flavor. Here's another example, this time from Snake. Let me ask you which option sounds better. I'm just a guy who can only find meaning on the battlefield. I'm just a man who's good at what he does, killing. You could probably guess that B is mine and A is how my translation was improved for Metal Gear Solid: The Twin Snakes. Here's another from Snake to Vulcan Ray. Oh yeah, because for Twin Snakes, I think they did a retranslation of it all. Here's another from Snake to Vulcan Raven regarding the Alaskan Olympics. A is, with that strength, you must have been training in the stick pull and four-man carry. Or B, yeah, I know it, you must be a real threat in the muck-tuck eating contest. In this example, I threw away the line that did nothing except inform the reader of two more events that exist in the Alaskan Olympics. Instead, I gave Snake a funnier line that establishes his character. Good choice or unfaithful and worthy of condemnation? It's ultimately your call, but I stand by what I did with the game. And one more from Psycho Mantis. This is the first time I've used my power to help someone. It's such a strange, such a nostalgic feeling. Or, this is the first time I've ever used my power to help someone. It's strange. It feels kind of nice. Naturally, B is mine. I remove the word nostalgic. A direct translation from the Japanese, because people who are feeling nostalgic don't normally say they are feeling nostalgic when they describe their emotions. We interpret other people as feeling nostalgic, but it's rarely how we describe ourselves. But this was a interesting read on. We take for granted things like translations and stuff. Well, now that like every game studio and every video game made is like a $500 million budget, and it's just like so much. But way back in the day, you would have these like massive teams, or I'm sorry, way back in the day, you'd have like one or two guys that are like doing the whole translation for a game. And sometimes old games, the translation, I remember in Final Fantasy Tactics, there were some characters that had like 3 different names just because the translation was so fucked at different parts. Yeah. Someone set us up the bomb. True. Not to be too Eurocentric, but wouldn't people from English-speaking countries take it for granted? Take what for granted? You usually get a text like this in the introduction to the Iliad or Machiavelli's The Prince. The decisions in translating classics are complex. Yeah, and that sucks because, like, one of the things that I think is so sad with my very limited historical English classics background or whatever is that, like, stories like the Odyssey or stories like the Iliad or Beowulf or Gilgamesh, like these things were a lot of these were told orally. So you have like these bards that are telling stories. You've got people that are sitting like captivated, listening, sometimes improvise with names of their families or you know, people like or like lands or names that they've heard of, like places. All of it was like so exciting and captivating. And then we distill this down to like the worst text form. And it's just like the most boring slogfest of shit. And it's written with such stiff prose. And it's like, this used to be like poetry that was sung. And now it's like, I don't know, and Hercules in his way to blah, blah. And it's just like, ugh. Yeah, I don't know. This drives me crazy. But obviously there would be a lot of taste that goes into how do you translate a thing correctly versus incorrectly. And there'd probably be a lot of fighting over it. But yeah, Jesus. Funnily enough, I think, is it the Torah or is it the, fuck, my brain is leaking all of this stuff I know. Wait, the Muslim holy book. The Quran. Isn't the Quran never supposed to be translated? Or if you're reading a translated version, it's not considered like real? Because I think that, the writings of the Torah were a direct writing from God. And so a translation is not like a real thing. Or you can see it translated, but it's not the same thing as like the actual real. You're supposed to learn to be able to read the original Arabic text. And I don't think it's the same way for the Bible. I don't think it's the same way for the Torah. I could be wrong on that, but...
translate one of my recipes into metric, ideally I wouldn't want to just do a Google job on it and translate 1 pound into 453 grams. I would want to reimagine the entire recipe to make it natively metric, to make it work with the things that you have in your grocery store.
People are saying Catholics had the same rule back in the day. Okay.
And the things that are easy to measure on your scales and in your measuring vessels. This discussion raises a pretty interesting question. Owing purely to the differences in measurement systems, could it be the case that food is appreciably different in the metric world compared to here in the non-metric world? And by non-metric world, of course, I mean the wide world of the US, Liberia, and Myanmar. Yes, we three are the only non-metric countries left. Might there be ways in which food is noticeably different here in the United States compared to everywhere else in the world, purely because the measurement systems that we use nudge us towards making certain decisions in the kitchen? It's the whole tail wagging the dog phenomenon, right? In linguistics and cognitive science, they have this concept called the Sapir-Whorf phenomenon. It's also known as linguistic relativity, the idea that our languages actually shape our thinking. The classic example of that is the Russian word for blue. There is no Russian word for blue. There's a Russian word for light blue and a Russian word for dark blue, but there's no Russian word the existence of which implicitly asserts that both colors are shades of the same color. As a result, Russian speakers and English speakers think about these colors in very different ways. That is at least the theory. Linguistic relativity has a lot of critics. Not all the scientists believe that, but that's the idea. Let's look over in the fields of business and economics, where they have this concept called round number bias. People are more likely to buy or sell an asset once it hits a nice round number, even if that might not be the most rational time to buy or sell.
Oh, I think there's an interesting thing on like dating apps or preferences when you ask people. It'll be like you might ask like, what preference does like a woman have for a guy? And it'll be like 5'8", 5'9", 5'10", 11, 6 foot, 6'1", 6'2", and the preference it'll end up looking something like this, where there's just like these humps around certain like very round, nice numbers or whatever. Yeah.
You gotta wonder if there's some phenomenon in cooking that's kinda like linguistic relativity and round number bias. Let's go back to Gordon's shepherd's pie. He tells you to bake it at 180 Celsius. That's a relatively round number, very common in metric recipes. If I were to
and he's also, I guess this is kind of restating my earlier point, where it's like, is it really the case? Is it really the fact that this recipe is optimal with 220 grams of green beans or whatever, 240? Would it really not be improved if it was like 242.7 or 200? 136.4. Like, is that actually just happens to be that round numbers are the ideal measurement for every part of this dish, right? Yeah.
80 Celsius. That's a relatively round number, very common in metric recipes. If I were to translate that to Fahrenheit for my oven, that is 356 Fahrenheit. My oven can't do that. My oven can do 350, probably the most common temperature in Fahrenheit cookbooks. It's so common that 350 is literally the default temperature on this oven, and it is 6 degrees cooler than the corresponding temperature in the metric world. Is American food different from, say, European food because we're baking a lot of our stuff at a slightly lower temperature? I did a lot of research to see if someone has proposed this phenomenon before. I couldn't find anything. If something is out there, please let me know about it. If no one has proposed this before, then there's a free thesis or dissertation idea for somebody studying food science. Take it. Just promise me that you'll call it the Ragusa phenomenon.
Gotcha. Wait, sorry. This may just be due to self-reporting. A girl may prefer guys that are 6'1" or 6'2", but say 6 feet because people might lean into reporting and rounded numbers. Yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't meaning to imply that we actually like prefer people that are rounded numbers, but when we report it or talk about it, we'll gravitate towards certain things. Yeah. Rounded numbers.
For my part, I'm going to make you this promise now that I'm going to start doing metric conversions on all my recipes. I'm not going to reimagine them in metric, I'm just going to do a Google job on them. And I have no idea how I'm going to handle things like tablespoons. Did you know that a tablespoon in Canada and the UK is 15 mils, but in the US it's 14.79, and in Australia it's 20? But it shouldn't matter that much.
It's also weird because I think in the United States, we have like normal spoons and then you have big spoons. And the big spoons we call tablespoons. And I always learned that a tablespoon is 3 times as big as a teaspoon, but that all big spoons are tablespoons. I don't actually know if that's true anymore. Wow, Ram, thanks for another gifted YouTube sub. I actually don't know. It's just...
In the US, it's 14.79, and in Australia, it's 20. But it shouldn't matter that much because the better way to use someone else's recipe is always as a starting point. Take the concept, the idea of the dish, and then make it work with whatever they have down at your grocery store that day that's looking nice or is on sale. And in the same way, you make it work with whatever quantities and temperatures your system of measurement is subconsciously prodding you to use. Because our minds are not our own. The system is in control. Wake up, sheeple! Ooh, that reminds me, I want shepherd's pie.
Wow. Women in the US report that they like guys to be 6 feet, but in Europe it's 180 cm, which is only 5'9". Is 180 centimeters 5'9"? Is that true? Oh, it is. Well, I think that was... Oh, no, wait, hold on. Wait a second. You tried. Aha! 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 We just went from base 10 to base 12. Sneaky, sneaky. 5.9 feet is a number expressed in, actually, I don't know if it would be proper to call it base 12. I don't know if that would technically be correct, but 5.9 feet is probably 5 feet 11 inches, right? Because you would do 0.9, 90% of a foot, and a foot is 12 inches, not 10. So it would be almost 11 inches, right? So 180 centimeters is about 5'11", yeah. I don't know if you would call it base 12 because you don't go from 12 feet to something different. You would just keep going up in feet, right? It'd be like 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. So I don't think you would call it base 12, or if one part of the unit can be base 12. I don't know. Okay. How does that work? What the fuck? From 5'9" to 5'11"? 5.9 to 5 feet 11 inches, right? It's literally dumb that you use 2 different unrelated units to count. Well, I mean, they're related. They're just in different bases. I don't know why. It would be this. Mixed radix. Numeral systems are non-standard positional numeral systems. Oh, mixed radix numeral systems are non-standard positional numeral systems in which the numerical base varies from position to position. There you go. Okay. It's not base 12. It's just a conversion of feet plus inches to inches divided by 12. Well, but are you converting? I'm trying to think of like, because I feel like we use conversion there in two different ways. So like, if you do 100 centimeters to 10 decimeters, is a decimeter? Are you converting from when you are converting, but I feel like it's a different type of thing than if you're converting from like two different systems of measurements. I don't know if that makes sense or not. Like converting 100 to like 10 times 10 feels different than converting to like a different base or something. I don't know. You're just changing the prefix? Yeah, but it's like there's like a different system rather than just like incrementing by orders of magnitude, I guess. I don't know. The problem is that in metric, the different units just happen to be fractions of each other. In Imperial, that's not the case. Well, I mean, technically, reductively, you mean even fraction, like base 10, or like base 10 fractions of each other. Because in the Imperial system, obviously, everything is a fraction of something else, theoretically, right? I mean, like any two things that could be related are going to be true, right? Okay, hold on. What was this? I got like this. I finished my emails.
Ridley Scott at his absolute worst, can we acknowledge this was actually a pretty good movie? I think Napoleon really succeeded in a lot of places that Gladiator 2 failed. For example, said it in my review, I think Gladiator 2, a lot of it feels like a TV show. I think it...
Okay, I don't know why I was like this. Don't care. Don't care.
Huh? Have a donut. That always cheers me up. Pika pika!
These donuts are great. Jelly-filled are my favorite. Nothing beats a jelly-filled donut. Jelly-filled donut.
Donut. Pika pika! See you next time. Huh?
Okay.
Nothing beats a jelly...
Wait, these aren't donuts though. Aren't these rice balls? Or there's a name for these things that are wrapped in seaweed. Or is it a joke in Pokemon? Or it's a rice cake? Or onigiri? Example of localization. That's the joke.
Favorite. Nothing...
Okay, based. It's a taco. True. Seaweed taco. Yes.
House Speaker Mike Johnson might want to pack his Advil when House Republicans return to...
Official CNN upload to the official YouTube channel with incorrectly panned audio. Yes. Yes.
House Speaker Mike Johnson might want to pack his Advil when House Republicans return to Washington this week. They're on track for a historically small majority, even smaller, after Trump nominated several House members to his cabinet. It means that any one Republican in the House can wield enormous power. And joining me now is a Republican who's been known to go his own way on occasion, Congressman Mike Lawler from New York. Congressman, congratulations on your reelection.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. We do have so much to get to, including that margin, but I do want to start with the news out of Mar-a-Lago overnight, and that was Donald Trump's announcement that he intends to nominate Kash Patel to be his FBI director. Do you have any reservations about Kash Patel serving in that role?
No. Donald Trump campaigned on reforming the FBI and the Department of Justice, so I don't know why any of this is frankly surprising to people. President Trump has nominated in Kash Patel, someone who served as Chief of Staff at the Department of Defense, someone who served as Deputy Director of the NSI, someone who served as a senior staffer on the House Intelligence Committee. He was a federal prosecutor under the Obama administration, and so certainly has requisite experience for this role. I think there's no question President Trump made very clear that the Department of Justice and the FBI would be reformed if he was elected to a second term. And I think, obviously, with the selection of Pam Bondi and Kash Patel, that's exactly what he's going to do.
Do you have any reservations about Patel potentially...
Why is everyone hating on this Kash Patel? Because he's fucking insane. I think we watched yesterday some shit about him. It's... Jesus Christ.
Going after President-elect Trump's political enemies? Patel has a list of names in his book.
Look, I don't think the American people are interested in a revenge tour, but obviously if people did wrong in their official capacities, then that's something they should be concerned about. But if they didn't do anything wrong, if they upheld the law, then there shouldn't be a problem. The objective here, obviously, is to reform the Department of Justice and the FBI and get it back to its mission of going after criminals. You know, growing up in New York, the FBI in the aftermath of 9/11 was focused on going after terrorism. And obviously in recent years, we've seen the FBI and the Department of Justice weaponized in a way that it has become completely political. That's not good for...
Can we get examples of this ever? Can any news person ever ask examples of this? Like, why do you fail so much? Like, so like, here's my issue. So CNN is supposed to be the left-leaning media, right? This is the liberal media, right? Are we going to push this guy on actually justifying that statement? Let's see. Maybe. Well, hold on. Maybe they will. Maybe they will. We'll see.
For the American people, it's not good for our system of justice. The lack of confidence that Americans have in the Department of Justice and the FBI is terrible. And so obviously we want a system that is reformed, that works for the American people, and that prosecutes criminals. And that should be the objective and the goal of every American. And obviously that's what my hope is as the Department of Justice moves forward under Pam Bondi and the FBI under Kash Patel.
If the goal is partisan neutrality...
Wait. Did we get a new Pam whatever? Is that a new person? Oh, Pam Bondi. Oh, I haven't looked into this person at all. Damn, this was a week and a half ago? Okay. Was this person crazy, or... She was one of the lawyers during his first impeachment trial. Jesus Christ! Yes, king shit, yes. Yes, this was a personal lawyer of mine, a personal friend of mine. Absolutely. Fucking based. Okay.
As the Department of Justice moves forward under Pam Bondi and the FBI under Kash Patel.
If the goal is partisan neutrality, is Patel not a partisan? And it's also maybe worth noting, I mean, Christopher Wray was appointed by then President Donald Trump.
Right, and Christopher Wray's FBI then went and investigated Donald Trump. These charges have since been dropped by the special prosecutor. But again, Casey, these issues have been...
Like... He should have the, he should, fuck, why am I on this dog shit YouTube website? Oh my God, I want to say so many evil things that should happen to this fucking piece of shit. So first of all, just because somebody investigates somebody doesn't mean there's wrongdoing. There's nothing wrong with investigating somebody. Number one. Number two, and then the charges were dropped. Charges were dropped. Why? They were dropped because Trump is going to dismiss them when he comes into office. Why? I like how he just like glances. Also, fuck, who is this lady? Fuck her as well. And fuck CNN. Where is the reporting or the accountability or the knowledge on any of these cases or anything that's happening ever? Like, what are we talking about here? Like, why would we just let him lie or say shit like this? Sorry. Okay. This is the both sides media. It's actually unbelievable. It's actually unbelievable that, okay.
Litigated in this election that we just had. Donald Trump talked about this for 2 years, so I don't know why anybody is surprised. The American people voted for Donald Trump overwhelmingly, despite him campaigning on these issues. So, look, I'm not concerned about partisanship here. I think we've seen a DOJ and an FBI that have been weaponized.
How? Wait, push him. No, we don't do that here. These are they're softball interviews. Every single thing on CNN or MSNBC, if it's a Republican, is always going to be softball. If this was fucking Kamala Harris, dude, CNN would be trying so hard not to look biased. Kamala Harris would say some shit like, yeah, so I love my country, the United States. And they're like, were you really born though? When are you going to release the video footage of you emerging from your mother's vagina with like a fucking notary public right next to her to verify the identity with blood? It's just like, bro, what the fuck is, this is so unhinged.
You look at the New York State Attorney General, Letitia James, she literally...
Is there a good reason why the charges should be dropped right now? I prefer Trump doing it himself to force the partisanship. Trump, because there's a memo that questions whether or not a sitting president can even be indicted by the DOJ. Although, and I've never heard Pisco answer this question, if that's the case, I don't know why we had a special prosecutor for Biden when his documents were found. Really weird that we had a special prosecutor for Biden under his DOJ when supposedly the DOJ can't indict a sitting president. So I don't know what the point of that investigation even was, if that was supposed to be impossible, but we would just assume for Donald Trump there would be no special prosecutor investigating him under his own presidency because of course he would dismiss the charges or he would tell his AG to fire that special prosecutor. Just crazy how the world works.
They campaigned on prosecuting Donald Trump. I didn't see many in the media objecting to that. The fact is that our system of justice and an FBI that have been weaponized, you look at the New York State Attorney General, Letitia James, she literally campaigned on prosecuting Donald Trump.
On ongoing cases. Imagine pretending that this is at all the same, that this is even remotely similar. That's great. Him and HAW get the same marching orders, I guess. Holy shit.
I didn't see many in the media objecting to that. The fact is that our system of justice needs to be depoliticized, and unfortunately, under the Biden administration, we have seen it weaponized, and it's wrong.
That is partially true, and it was weaponized. It was weaponized against the Bidens because of liberals' obsession with self-flagellation. The Hunter Biden charges are in. I should add that to my fucking. We should just have that 100%. The persecution for the gun shit, and I think wasn't it a federal tax crime conviction for like $200,000 owed to the IRS or something? Hold on, what were the Hunter Biden convictions? All of them under Biden, by the way. Convicted of 3 federal firearms-related felony charges in June 2024 after he admitted to illegally owning a gun while a drug user. Oh my God. Like, actually unbelievable. What was the... Hold on, I'm curious what was the dollar amount on these? Oh, okay, it was more at least. Okay, I thought it was $200K. It was $1.4 million in federal taxes. And then he filed tax returns with fraudulent business deductions. Can somebody explain why Roger Stone didn't have the same charges or conviction? Because Roger Stone had around $2 million in taxes that he was evading illegally with other companies. But he was just able to work out a deal. Why? Because for Roger Stone, he had almost $2 million in unpaid taxes. And I don't think there was any, well, one, it's a civil suit, so it wasn't even criminal. And I'm pretty sure the resolution to this was he just like made a payment deal to pay them back. I don't know. Maybe there's an actual material difference in what happened, but...
All right, sir. We should note those charges were, of course, dropped because Donald Trump was elected to become our...
Stone was pardoned? Yeah, but I don't think Stone was pardoned over the tax fraud stuff. I think he was pardoned over the obstruction and whatnot for Congress when he was asking questions about... Or when he was asked questions about the Trump stuff and the Russia stuff. He was indicted on charges of lying to Congress about what he and then candidate Trump knew about Russian efforts to discredit Hillary Clinton, witness tampering and obstruction. Oh, because he told another witness, he told them to lie. He said, you need to lie to Congress when they ask you these questions. He just said that. He just told them to do that. And he was just pardoned out of all of this. Unbelievable.
Our next president. But, sir, I know you also were eager to talk about the situation in the Middle East. And, of course, we saw that heartbreaking video from the Israeli-American hostage, Aidan Alexander. There also have been some...
Okay, so he just gets to make all those statements to the CNN audience with absolutely no correction whatsoever and then just continue. Okay, that's cool. Nice. Good news network. Nice.
Seen it weaponized, and it's wrong.
It feels like when pro-Pallies are like, oh, Wikipedia is just biased and that's why we don't trust it. It's like, bro, Wikipedia is biased in favor of Palestine. You know that, right? Like, you guys are crazy wiki warriors, like editing every single fucking article with Israeli genocide. Like, yeah, it is biased, but not in the direction that you're saying it is, but okay.
All right, sir. We should note those charges were, of course, dropped because Donald Trump was elected to become our next president. But, sir, I know you also were eager to...
She just corrected him and no. This is not a real correction. Fuck you. This is not a real correction. It was just, the charges were dropped because Donald Trump was elected. Okay, never mind.
But those charges were, of course, dropped because Donald Trump was elected to become our next president. But, sir, I know you also were eager to talk about the situation in the Middle East. And, of course, we saw that heartbreaking video from the Israeli-American hostage, Aidan Alexander. There also have been some comments from some of your colleagues on Capitol Hill, notably Lindsey Graham, who is, of course, a supporter and ally of Donald Trump's, who said that the incoming president wants to see a ceasefire deal between Israel and Hamas before he is inaugurated. Do you think that's a plausible reality?
Look, I think you're seeing very quickly world leaders come to the table. You saw, obviously, the Prime Minister of Canada fly down to Mar-a-Lago. You saw the President of Mexico respond very quickly to the President's tweet the other day about the issue of tariffs and cracking down on cartels. I think what you're seeing in the Middle East is movement. People recognize that Donald Trump is going to crack down on Iran in a way, frankly, this administration has not. Under Joe Biden and Kamala Harris, the illicit oil trade has exploded to over $200 billion. That is what has funded Hamas, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and other terror networks. Obviously, with Prime Minister Netanyahu and the IDF taking out the leadership of Hezbollah and Hamas, and President Trump coming into office, there is more pressure now.
Isn't it illegal for an incoming president to negotiate with their president? Technically, it is. Yeah, it's supposed to be illegal, but I don't think laws don't really apply to Donald Trump or any of the Republicans, so it doesn't really matter.
On these entities to enter into a ceasefire. I think, obviously, it was welcome news that Hezbollah entered into a ceasefire. We'll see how long that lasts. But I think the bottom line with Hamas is very simple. Release the hostages and surrender. The United States needs to use maximum pressure, including on Qatar, to get the hostages out. It is outrageous that we still have 7 Americans being held hostage, 4 presumed living, 3 deceased. And this should be the top priority of both the current administration and the incoming administration to get these hostages out. I have met with every one of these hostage families multiple times, including the Alexander family. It is heartbreaking to watch that video yesterday and a shameful reminder that a terrorist organization has been allowed to hold 7 Americans hostage for over 400 plus days. It is outrageous.
Congressman, on the topic that we introduced you with, the incredibly slim margin in the House of Representatives, what do you say to all of your Republican colleagues, any one of whom could decide to basically grind the gears of government to a halt about what they should do with this power? And what do you intend to do with it? Would you be willing to, for example, I know that state and local tax deductions are very important to you. Is it something you'd consider holding up government over?
Look, the American people elected Donald Trump and majorities in both the House and the Senate for the Republicans. And obviously, the focus will be on the economy, the border, energy policy, the international crises that we are dealing with, tax reform, and spending and government reform. I think when you look at the issue of taxes, for instance, I've been very clear. I will not support a tax bill that does not lift the cap on salt. President Trump made clear during the campaign that he agrees that we do need to lift the cap on salt.
Wait, fuck me. I should know what this is. What, state and local tax deductions, does that just mean that you can deduct, you get a tax deduction on how much money it's estimated to have been spent on your state and local taxes? Does that include the state income tax? Do you pay federal income tax on the same, if money that you pay for state income tax, are you taxed on the money that you pay to the state, or would that be part of the SALT deduction? Property sales or income taxes already paid to state and local governments. There is no cap to the value of the SALT deduction. In theory, the deduction exists to offset some federal taxpayer liability by excluding income already taken in states for state. Oh, wait. Destiny, no. State taxes are deducted. Wait, are they? You can deduct any estimated taxes paid to state or local governments and any prior year's state or local income tax, as long as they were paid during the tax year. Is there a limit to this, or is there no limit to this? The reason why I say, oh, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm misunderstanding it. If I'm understanding it correctly, though, fuck you, Econo Boy. Because Econo Boy said, SALT caps was one of the most progressive changes of Trump's tax bill. Because this is my guess here. My guess is some of the highest state taxed states are probably blue states. So capping your SALT deductions is probably just a way to federally fuck people in blue states. Is that all it is? Or am I reading too much into that or misunderstanding the application? Because it sounds like if you can't, like if you live in a low income tax state or whatever, you're going to be hurt less than if you live in a high income tax state. And I bet the highest income tax states are probably places like New York, especially New York City or California or whatever. What do you say to people who say there is more crime in blue states? I don't know, but I've heard it. I think that the per capita crime, I think is highest in rural places, I think. I'm going to go and look at it again. 10 highest violent crime per capita cities. These 20 cities with the highest crime rates, this is the number of incidents per 100,000 people. Well, this looks pretty big city, I guess. We've got St. Louis, and then Detroit, Baltimore, and Memphis are 2, 3, and 4. Little Rock, Milwaukee, and Rockford, Cleveland, Stockton, and Albuquerque. Springfield, Indianapolis, Oakland, San Bernardino, Anchorage, Nashville, Lansing, New Orleans, and Minneapolis, and Chicago. I don't know where I read that other thing before. I wonder if Albuquerque? What a great webpage also. Thank God. Wait, my Windows license is infected? Oh, shit. Okay, forget I said that. I might have made that up. I feel like I read this somewhere. Maybe it was red states or something? I'm not sure. It might have been gun crime. Maybe, I'm not sure. No, it was some kind of violent felony. State and local tax deductions are more valuable in areas with higher incomes. And probably in areas with higher local taxes, I would imagine, right?
We're going to negotiate and work through that process. I think the key to remember, though, is there's no I in team. We all got elected individually, yes, but we got elected to serve as a Republican majority and work to get things done on behalf of the American people. I'm proud of my record in this Congress. I've been rated the 4th most bipartisan member of Congress. I've gotten 10 bills passed, 5 signed into law in a divided government because I'm willing to compromise and work together. The fact is, all of us have that responsibility. There's not going to be a lot of room for error here, especially in the early months with 3 members down. So we're going to be at 217 most likely, or 218. Yeah. And we'll need every vote to pass legislation, which means we got to compromise and work together. We're not going to get everything we want. Anybody who's ever been married understands the art of compromise. But we got to work together for the American people.
The art of compromise, indeed. Can you imagine having 218 people that you actually have to get all on the same page? It's going to be dicey. Congressman, thank you very much for being here. I appreciate it.
Wow. Thank you so much. Good job, Congressman.
System is not, in fact, one single system of measurement. It is a family of slightly different systems.
A defense of the Imperial measurement system. Okay. Do we know yet how many votes Trump won by? 2024 presidential election results. Is everybody reported? 99, 97, 99. Pretty much everybody is. So it looks like he won by about 2.5 million votes. Probably when it's all done and counted. 99, 99, 98. The final official counts are mid-December. Is that considered a landslide? No, Trump didn't win by a massive fucking landslide. The Republicans like to have that story because it makes them feel good. Fuck this.
Today we're going to talk about the danger of Trump's latest pick to lead the FBI and what it says more broadly about his priorities in his administration. And I've got
90 electoral votes isn't a landslide. Calling it a landslide by electoral votes is just a very weird way to consider it a landslide. Like, you can have, because I think that when Hillary lost to Trump, I don't remember how many electoral votes it was, but the vote difference was very, very, very small, right? Like, you can have a large electoral count lead, but it could be by a very small number of votes. So I guess it just feels weird to say it's like a landslide, I guess. I don't know. But if it makes you feel better about yourself, Trump results. What were the electoral vote outcomes for this? 304 to 227. Like, would you say that Trump beat Hillary by a landslide? When I think it was like 20 or 30,000 votes would have flipped this, and she won by 3 million. Like, it just feels weird to say like they won by a landslide. I don't know. It just seems.
Reviews this week, I interview Pod Save America's Tommy Vitor to discuss the extent to which Democrats are required to retool, and I'm joined by Max Steyer from the Partnership for Public Service to discuss whether Trump could actually be successful at enacting the most dangerous element of Project 2025, firing career civil servants and replacing them with loyalists. I'm Brian Teller Cohen, and you're watching No Lie. You know by now that Donald Trump has nominated Kash Patel to lead the FBI. To give you an idea of who Kash Patel is, I'm actually going to defer to Bill Barr's words here from his book. The president then started advancing the idea of appointing Kash Patel as deputy FBI director. Patel, who was completing a stint as deputy to acting director of national intelligence Rick Grenell, had been a staffer to Congressman Devin Nunes and had served briefly on the NSC staff at the White House under Trump. I categorically opposed making Patel deputy FBI director. I told Mark Meadows it would happen, quote, over my dead body. Someone with no background as an agent would never be able to command the respect necessary to run the day-to-day operation.
I heard many times this is one of the closest elections. Fair to say that? I mean, it depends on how you define it as close election. I mean, in terms of the popular vote difference, I think that might be true. In terms of like electoral college outcome, I'm not 100% sure, but it's weird how we have because our electoral college is like an absolute thing for most states, even if the vote total is very close.
Operations of the Bureau. Furthermore, Patel had virtually no experience that would qualify him to serve at the highest level of the world's preeminent law enforcement agency. The Bureau already had an exceptionally able deputy, David Bowditch, in whom I had total confidence. He was a strong leader with high integrity. He was indispensable as far as I was concerned. The very idea of moving Patel into a role like this showed a shocking detachment from reality. That was Bill Barr. That was Trump's hand-picked attorney general, the same guy who straight up lied about the Mueller report in an effort to protect Trump from what the report actually said. So for that guy to say that Kash Patel should lead the FBI over his dead body probably gives you a pretty decent indication as to why he is so unqualified for this position. And if Bill Barr's warnings don't move you, listen to Kash Patel's own words. Here he is during an interview with Steve Bannon from last year before he was nominated FBI director.
Do you feel confident that you will be able to deliver the goods, that we can have serious prosecutions?
I think we watched this on stream. He stole this from, I'm just kidding. This is kind of irrelevant, but why do you bother ever having any comments on policy if there's no meta-ethical foundations to justify those policies? Seems like you are presuming there is a good to argue that we ought to strive for X policy over Y. Because I think meta-ethically, we probably are all about on the same page anyway, even if we don't have those positions figured out. Like if I were to show 100 humans which world is better, this world where everybody has a house or this world where everybody is roaming, the desert, like people say, oh, probably one with houses. Like I think most people are in pretty big alignment on a lot of fundamental value stuff like that. So you don't have to have that debate. I think you just kind of assume it and move on from there.
And accountability. And I want the morning show producers that watch us and all the producers that watch us. This is just not rhetoric. We're absolutely dead serious. We're not. You cannot have a constitutional republic and allow what these deep staters have done to the country. The deep state, the administrative state, the fourth branch of government never mentioned in the Constitution, is going to be taken apart brick by brick. And the people that did these evil deeds will be held accountable and prosecuted, criminal prosecutions. Kash, I know you're probably going to be head of the CIA, but do you believe that you can deliver the goods on this in a pretty short order the first couple of months so we can get rolling on prosecutions?
Yes, we got the bench for it, Bannon, and you know those guys. I'm not going to go out there and say their names right now so the radical left-wing media can terrorize them. But, excuse me.
Radical. Also, remember, I saw some fucking morons responding to my tweet about Trump's bullshit, that Trump only wants to go after the radical left. Remember that when they say that, radical left to them is like every single person that voted for or supported Biden or Harris. That's the radical left. Like, don't forget that.
The one thing we learned in the Trump administration the first go around is we got to put in all America patriots top to bottom. And we got them for law enforcement. We got them for intel collection. We got them for offensive operations. We got them for DOD, CIA, everywhere. And the one thing we will do that they never will.
Like this fucking loser can't even just say like happy Thanksgiving or whatever. Like happy Thanksgiving to all, including to the radical left lunatics who have worked so hard to destroy our country, but who have miserably failed and will always fail because their ideas and policies are so hopelessly bad that the great people of our nation just gave a landslide victory to those who want to make America great again. Don't worry, our country will soon be respected, productive, fair, and strong, and you will be more than ever before proud to be an American. Wow, what a great, wholesome, unifying Thanksgiving message. Jesus Christ.
Will do is we will follow the facts and the law and go to courts of law and correct these justices and lawyers who have been prosecuting these cases based on politics and actually issuing them as lawfare. We will go out and find the conspirators, not just in government, but in the media. Yes, we're going to come after the people in the media who lied about American citizens, who helped Joe Biden rig presidential elections. We're going to come after you. Whether it's criminally or civilly, we'll figure that out. But yeah, we're putting you all on notice. And Steve, this is why they hate us. This is why we're tyrannical. This is why we're dictators.
That he'll go after the media for the apparent crime of helping Joe Biden rig the presidential election? In other words,
I don't understand, Americans, God, fuck, it's so cringe that I'm like actually using unironic re-permitted references, but like Americans see this guy and they're like,
my fellow Englishmen, tonight, our country, that which we stand for, and all that we hold dear,
this is my guy.
Faces a grave and terrible threat.
We believe in this guy.
Here is clean, sir. Undefended.
Like, he's the one.
Chancellor, I know
yes.
no one seems to want to discuss this, but if we're to be prepared for any eventuality, then it can't be ignored any longer. The red report in front of you has been vetted by several demolition specialists. Now, it concludes that the most logical delivery system for the terrorists to use...
Okay. I don't know if there are any good things of him just speaking. We're going to go after the guys in the media and the politicians and everybody with all the DOJ and the FBI and everybody else. And people are like, yes, that's my team.
All on notice. And Steve, this is why they hate us. This is why we're tyrannical. This is why we're dictators.
That he'll go after the media for the apparent crime of helping Joe Biden rig the presidential election? In other words, this is the guy up for FBI director who is claiming that Joe Biden lost in 2020, which is an outright lie and conspiracy theory, and he's willing to criminally prosecute anyone, from lawyers to members of the media, who correctly reported on or litigated in favor of Joe Biden. This is out-and-out weaponization of government. This is what an actual witch hunt looks like. Claiming that Donald Trump won in 2020 and prosecuting those who acknowledged objective reality. If this doesn't scare you about Trump's incoming administration, I don't know what will. But what's telling here is that while Trump's picks for certain roles are pretty uncontroversial, Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, Susie Wiles as Chief of Staff.
Wait, did I mishear him, or are our standards just way different? Wait, what? Or maybe he's just been, because everything's just so crazy. I mean, I guess comparatively speaking, sure.
Incoming administration, I don't know what will. But what's telling here is that while Trump's picks for certain roles are pretty uncontroversial, Marco Rubio as Secretary of State, Susie Wiles as Chief of Staff, the roles where he's swinging for the fences all have a very obvious through line here. Matt Gaetz and then Pam Bondi as Attorney General, Kash Patel.
I think he's talking relatively. I guess relatively speaking, Marco Rubio is very sane. But I guess, yeah, that's fair. No, yeah, I guess relatively speaking, that's true, yeah.
Patel at FBI, his personal lawyer Todd Blanche as Deputy Attorney General. It's the positions where he needs loyalists to be able to wield the government as a cudgel against his enemies that he's actually swinging for the fences. And that's where he's spending all of his political capital. Marco Rubio at State goes to show that Trump does not care what happens in that role. What he's focused on is being able to enact his retribution tour. And the way he does that is with the very people who he's nominated to lead those positions. Not only will there be no pushback from those people, but they are just as eager as he is to weaponize the government. So look, I've been pretty clear about what we should do in terms of Democrats resisting this administration. I've been pretty clear that we have limited political capital and that if we treat everything like a five-alarm fire, then nothing feels like a five-alarm fire. But this is a fire worth focusing on. This is above Pam Bondi. This is above Tulsi Gabbard, above Pete Hegseth, insofar as we're ranking them or we get only one or two bites at the apple. If there's anything to raise hell over, it is Kash Patel. That should be our focus in a political environment where we still have the ability to drive the narrative if someone is particularly dangerous. Matt Gaetz' nomination didn't survive to confirmation hearings for a reason, likely because he wants to be governor of Florida and that he knew the ethics report would eventually come out in the confirmation hearings, and he didn't want that. But let's be clear, it was the Democrats who forced this issue, and we should do the exact same thing here. This is also why it's important not to tune out here. And if you're anything like me, you're probably exhausted to some degree and discouraged.
Is it, How many votes Senate to confirm presidential appointment? It's going to say it's 60, but that they can just end the filibuster and do 51, huh? Is it just a simple majority? What is the what is the composition of the Senate going forward? What is the, is it 52-48 or is it 53? Oh, 53. Absolutely. I don't even know if this is showing me. 4 independent. What does that mean? They're all Republican duders? Oh, no, wait. Bernie Sanders. Wait, what year is this for? Oh, no. This is our current Senate. This isn't going to be the next one where people have been elected. Never mind. Or where people have been elected. All right. I mean, the Trump first term was 54. Yeah, but I don't think Trump realized how much he needed sycophants in the government, right? Like, Trump just assumed that strong Republicans would support him in destroying the government. That's why people like Barr or even like Tillerson was unconventional, but he wasn't like a traitor to the United States like somebody like Kash Patel would be, right? Like, so even Trump's unconventional picks weren't like authoritarian supporters.
Discouraged to some degree, but this is a moment where it is necessary to pay attention and sound the alarms. This is why it's so necessary not to check out, because the Trump White House will be bad, but it will be so much worse if there's nothing moderating Donald Trump's worst impulses. We saw it work with Matt Gaetz, and we should ensure that it works again here. I know that it may not feel like it, but we've still got power, we've still got influence, and this is the moment where we need to use it. Coming up next are previews of—
Wait, what do we have power and influence over? Over what?
It will be so much worse if there's nothing moderating Donald Trump's worst impulses. We saw it work with Matt Gaetz, and we should ensure that it works again here. I know that—
As much as I... do we get hope-pilled or doomer-pilled? Like, as much as I would like to say it worked for Matt Gaetz, like, Gaetz had quite a bit of pushback on the Republican side as well, no? Like, I don't know if the Democrat pushback there mattered as much. I could be wrong on that. I'd have to go and check. I don't know.
That it may not feel like it, but we've still got power, we've still got influence, and this is the moment where we need to use it. Coming up next are previews of my interviews with Tommy Vitor and Max Dyer, but first a quick note, my once-weekly podcast, No Lie, which is what you're watching right now—
Don't burn this bridge. Why would I burn the bridge with Brian?
is officially part of the Crooked Media Network. I'm really excited about that. Pod Save America has always been a huge inspiration for me, and I'm grateful to be part of that team. With my podcast joining their network, the ads that play on my audio episodes of No Lie are also going to play here. This is the first time that ads have ever appeared on my channel, and it'll happen on just one video per week, just my video podcast every Sunday. Again, the episodes of No Lie. So to that end, here's a quick word from some sponsors, and then previews of my interviews. No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen is brought to you by Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol. So let's be honest, after a night with drinks, I do not bounce back the next day like I used to. I know a lot of people are with me here. I have a choice to make. I can either have a great night or a great next day, but usually not both. But then I found Pre-Alcohol. Z-Biotics Pre-Alcohol Probiotic Drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted into a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. Pre-alcohol produces an enzyme.
Is that true? I've never heard this before. Fuck, I don't want to... It's a sponsor. I don't want to roast my sponsor, but...
To break this byproduct down. Just remember to make pre-alcohol your first drink of the night, drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. And look, initially I was on the fence about all of this because I felt like nothing could salvage my days after. But I was actually in DC for the State of the Union this past year the first time I tried it. Probably the last time I go to the State of the Union for a while. And my next day, I was literally fine. Give this thing a shot. Trust me, it is the real deal. And with the holiday season upon us, I know I'm going to be consuming a bit more alcohol than usual. With pre-alcohol, I can stay on track and not let the season throw me off course. Go to zbiotics.com/lie to learn more and get 15% off your first order when you use lie at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/lie and use the code LIE at checkout for 15% off. No Lie with Brian Tyler Cohen is brought to you by Lumen. Lumen is the world's first handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism through your breath, and on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs, and gives you tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, workouts, sleep, and even stress management. All you have to do is breathe into your Lumen first thing in the morning, based on your to keep on top. But, as a Pod Save America, head to /lie for 15% off.
I don't know about that.
Your purchase. Lumen makes a great gift too. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring this episode.
Aside from also buying that stuff if you want to, I'm pretty sure if you go out drinking, if you just like drink a Gatorade or something before you go to sleep, this will help like 90% of your hangover. Okay, grab a Gatorade, or some people in chat say like Pedialyte, anything that just like has something so you can drink a lot, you'll probably be okay.
You guys at Pod Save America had an interview, I believe it was Favreau who actually conducted the interview with Stephanie Valencia, who deals with Latino voters, and she spoke about how for $350,000, Republicans were able to buy up one of the last remaining neutral radio stations in South Florida. Meanwhile, Democrats set like millions and millions and millions of dollars on fire.
Thoughts on water? You can drink water too. I don't know how to explain it, but I find that there are certain states where like, if I drink, like drinking a lot of water might be difficult, but drinking a lot of Gatorade is like really easy. Like if you give me like a thing of Gatorade at the end of a night of drinking, I can drink a whole little thing, but like a bunch of water, like the equivalent amount of water. I don't know if I can, I'm not sure.
This election cycle, we had nearly $1 billion that was spent on ads that would go in one ear and out the other. And so how do you think the Democrats should focus on the media environment at a moment like right now, as opposed to just waiting for, like August or September of an election year to start remembering that the media actually plays a big role in this thing?
Yeah, I mean, I think we have to realize we have a brand problem. People don't like the Democratic Party. They don't think it's cool. They don't think it fights for them. It's not a party they want to be a part of. And right now, people feel the opposite about Trump. You see like athletes doing the Trump dance at games. He's sort of like seen as being culturally cool. People are excited about him, and we need to fix that. And I think part of it is going to be figuring out how to talk to people and reach them early and often. Another part of it will be, I think in Washington, people worry too much about inputs and not outputs. Like they spend 2 weeks writing and editing the speech and then 2 minutes thinking about who it gets to. Right.
Okay. I'm confused by agreeers. How can it possibly be hard to drink water? I don't know, just like drinking tons and tons of water can be challenging sometimes. People are bringing up electrolytes, but I don't know if that matters as much. Like I'm pretty sure the average person in America for our diets, pretty sure we consume a fuck ton of electrolytes naturally. I don't know if we like you need that from Gatorade as much. I think that I think generally electrolyte replacement is only super important, and I don't even know if it's super important for an average person. But like if you're doing a ton of exercise where you're like sweating and like losing a lot of water, replacing a lot of water, and all that, I think. Why'd you say Gatorade then? I don't know. It just tastes good. It's easy to just like drink a ton of it. Just drink a glass of water after each drink. Yeah, that's another thing you can do as well, yeah. Why is replacing electrolytes important if you're sweating a lot? Because am I making this up, or doesn't your sweat have like salt and stuff in it? Like you're not sweating out pure water, you're sweating out electrolytes as well. So if you're sweating a ton and then you're drinking a ton, and you're doing this, you need to keep that balance or whatever. But like even for a normal person, I don't know if it actually matters that much. Like if you go for a jog and you drink like, oh God, I need to replace my electrolytes. Like probably even for an average person, it doesn't really matter that much, I don't think, but I could be incorrect on that, but. Anyone else sad that they've never sweated out different colors after drinking Gatorade? All right. Why would you die if you injected pure water into your bloodstream? I don't think you would die, but the reason why they do saline, why they have like a bit, which is just salt plus water, I think, is that if you have too much water and it throws off, is it called your osmotic balance? If you don't have enough electrolytes in your body, if you fall out of balance, I think I think you can cramp like on the lower end of things, or you can just die if you don't have enough. Because I think, I don't know all the biology. Is it sodium ion channels or whatever that like conduct like all your nerve impulses and all the things between your muscles and your brain and everything, that like you have to have a certain amount of this type of stuff in your body, electrolytes, I guess, for conductive signals for nerves and stuff. And if you don't have as much, you eventually you'll die if it gets really bad. But calcium ion channels, sodium ion pump, whatever the fuck, yeah. Too much water will literally just make your cells explode. I don't think that's true. I'm pretty sure you would just pass it if you drink too much water. but you can throw off the balance of electrolytes in your body if you drink too much water. Well, somebody, okay, biochemist here, pure water will probably kill you because it makes your cells explode literally. The cells will fill up with water and blow up. Why? How does that happen? That sounds cringe. Water moves across an osmotic pressure gradient, and there's high salt inside your cells. Oh, okay. Maybe that's why. Jesus. This guy says that Vyvanse rotted his teeth? Yeah, my story sucks. I was diagnosed with ADHD as a child and was on Vyvanse, which rotted my teeth out. Okay. Ended up with large fillings that kept re-decaying. And got crowns, but had a dentist that did a bad job and left open margins, leading to needing a bunch of root canals. Only 3 years after I got the crowns done. I only have 5 uncrowned teeth, 3 now. My treatment plan for the upper and lower is to be fully redone. Literally every single tooth in my mouth was painful and sensitive except for the uncrowned ones. One of them had pretty expensive buccal decay, but compared to the other teeth, it was manageable. The plan was very expensive and consisted of replacing pretty much every crown because they tasted awful and hurt to touch. Even if the dentist tried to be conservative, told me I couldn't even chew. Also was diagnosed with GERD, so I was constantly throwing up. Is this some kind of gastro something reflux disease? GERD? I don't know. Acid reflux? Okay. I'm waiting on the lowers because I can't afford that, or implants. Apparently needed 4 more RCT on the top, and was like, nope, I'm getting them out. This is a waste. I had hope, but then it went down the drain. Why does he think... Bro, you got problems here. Why does he think Vyvanse caused all of this? Jesus. You're too young. Save your teeth. That's not that bad. Yeah, look at that hidden decay under the crowns that wasn't visible clinically or on x-ray. So glad I followed my gut to remove them. The pain was unbearable. I had a feeling that they were really bad under my crowns, even if they looked fine. Jesus Christ. My son takes Vyvanse. How does it rot your teeth? Leads to dry mouth, but they don't make that clear that dry mouth leads to tooth loss. Bro, how long is your mouth that dry? Drink some water, ninja. What? Hello? What? What the fuck, bro? Okay. Trump voter detected. Jesus. Dry mouth leads to tooth loss? Maybe. I don't actually know. That might be the case. It wouldn't surprise me if like not having saliva or stuff mixing around and moving maybe would fuck your shit up. But this would be over the course of like, my guess would be maybe not even months, but like months or years. Chronic dry mouth can significantly increase the risk of tooth decay and gum disease, which if left untreated can lead to tooth loss. Like this isn't going to happen in days or even like a couple weeks. This is going to be like long, long periods of his mouth being fucked up. Jesus. I've been taking Vyvanse for 10 years, and dry mouth ain't super common, and it would not lead to that. It might be that it impacts everybody differently. Maybe some people get the side effect more often than not, or it could be that you're on too high of a dose. If you're getting like, I would consider having like consistently excessively dry mouth. That feels like a really bad side effect to me, that you would either need to consciously remind yourself to drink more, or you would just lower how much you're taking. Is your mouth dry right now? No, I haven't had that issue ever. Elon Musk is right. The Pentagon, with a budget of $886 billion, just failed its 7th audit in a row. It's lost track of billions. I don't know if it's lost track of that money. When I try to look this up, every time it says the Pentagon is failing an audit, there's just money that they can't like report publicly or don't want to report to the the Office of Inspector General or whatever. I don't think that it's literally just that the money is lost, like flushed down the drain. But okay. If I recall, commonly a thing during sleep, people who are mouth breathers, snoring peeps get it a lot. Sleep apnea and having to be in a ventilator during sleep can cause it too. Oh, sure. If you have significant issues snoring, I could be wrong, but I don't think you're ever supposed to snore as a human, like a person. It's not good. Like if you're snoring, something has to be fixed. You're either sleeping in the wrong position, you have some issue with, it could be weight, but I don't think you're ordinarily, I mean, like there's like if you're like, whatever like that, fine. But if you're like doing stuff like this at night, I don't think you should ever have, that's not an issue you should ever have. Like if something is happening, you need to do something to rectify that, because it's fucking with your sleep, it's fucking with your brain. I think there are other health impacts that could come down the line from stuff like that. Like you have to do something to remedy that, and not just assume that it's like a normal whatever thing. Would drinking more fix that? Just because you have more water doesn't mean that you would produce more saliva because of the meds. Well, I think anything in your mouth stimulates saliva production, right? Like even when you drink water, would be my guess. I guess I could be wrong, I'm not sure. Abbott talked about it. He didn't realize his snoring was sleep apnea, and he made a video about it as well. How would I know if I'm snoring if I'm asleep? There's like a billion apps that you can get on your phone now for sleep tracking stuff and everything. As far as I know, not all snoring is sleep apnea. It's normal in some cases, I think. Source, I watched a video of it. Yeah, that's what I think. There's like some ways where you can just be like a little like, is it your epiglottis? Is that the thing? Or is it just your glottis? What's the thing that covers the back of your throat when you're making consonant noises? Like sometimes your air coming in and out can cause a little bit of a whatever. But if you ever if you're like, I think if you're having like big snoring things, I think I think something is going on there that you need to fix. Sugar baby update. The fuck is this? Jesus. You just cheated on me 3 times in 4 days. It was a mistake. I didn't want him. I was just still hurt, but it's cool. I'm trying so hard. I don't even know how much of this is real or not. Oh no, he had her Apple Watch and he was seeing text messages through the watch. I don't know if this is real. Also, this is from January 22nd, 2023. It's like almost 2 years ago. Did you finish emails? Yeah, I finished all that bullshit.